Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Wasn't that cute? Little ding at the end. I love that. Hey, so we're going to be starting a new series next week called Stable Talk. You see what we did there? Stable Talk. Aha. And what we're going to be doing is having some fresh conversations about Christmas as we begin the Christmas season here. And so we're going to be kicking that off next week. I'll tell you more about that in just a few minutes. But so you're at church and it's after Thanksgiving and you're seeing a promo for Christmas series and there's an Advent wreath here. Wait a minute, it means it's officially Christmas season has begun, which means it's now legal to listen to your Christmas music. Does anybody here listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving? You're communists. That's wrong. That's wrong. It's in the Bible. I'm sure of it. No listening to Christmas music until after Thanksgiving. So Christmas season is upon us. We're getting ready. Yay. We're super excited. It's really great. How many of you have done your decorating already? Woo, good for you. It's a tradition in the Johnson household that the Friday after Thanksgiving that we get our Christmas tree and that we put it up and we decorate it. I've been doing that since I was a little kid, so we did that on Friday. We bought a Christmas tree. Here's Cade with his Christmas tree. And what's that in his hand? That's a glass bottle of Coca-Cola with Santa Claus on it. God bless America. So we are getting ready for Christmas. It's scientific fact. Coke tastes better with Santa on it. Everybody knows this. And the best tasting M&Ms in the world are the red and green ones. Science, I'm sure of it. So we're all getting ready for the Christmas season. And today it's going to be a fantastic season. We have some great things planned for you guys in the next coming weeks. Like I said earlier, we have an Advent wreath here. So here's just a little bit of trivia you can impress your friends with. Today starts the Christian year. So the Christian calendar, today is actually the start of the new year. So happy New Year, guys. Now, not bad. So you have Thanksgiving and New Year's and Christmas is coming up. So it's good. Well, we're getting ready for all that. It's very exciting. Pastor Dale's out of town. This week he's been in Kentucky. They did Thanksgiving with Haley and they flew everybody up to go be with Haley then. So there they are. That's a place called High Bridge in Kentucky. So they've had a great time. He's going to be back with us next week kicking off Stable Talk. It's going to be a lot of fun. So with that, we're going to be finishing up our sermon series that we're calling Better Wise Up today. Today's the conclusion of that, where we've been journeying through the book of Proverbs together as a church, where we made a deal that we were going to read one chapter of Proverbs a day for 31 days entirely. So how many of you have been reading through some of the plan? Lots of hands. Very good. Lots of hands. It's okay if you missed a day or two. It's okay. We're not legalists around here. Well, very good. Well, what we've been doing, like I said, is reading through the book of Proverbs, and Pastor Dale and myself, whoever has been speaking on Sunday morning or Saturday night, we take the passages that were assigned for that week, and it was our assignment to preach through those chapters and to find a topic to speak from. Sometimes when you're a preacher, you get to pick the topic together with the Holy Spirit, and sometimes the Bible picks the topic for you. So this is what that series is. Now, if you've been reading, this past week what we read was Proverbs 22 through 28. That was the range that we did, Proverbs 22 through 28. And I picked out two verses in particular that I want us to look at today. And it's from Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3 and 27:12. So if you have your sermon notes, go ahead and pull them out of your Connect folder. Go ahead and grab them now. Now, we're going to read them together. I want you to look carefully at the screen and look carefully at your notes. Proverbs 22:3. Let's read this together. Ready? Go. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Now 27:12. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Man, I better hope we didn't have a typo. How many of you thought that when you saw your notes when you came in that there's a typo? It's not a typo. It's not a typo. See, sometimes in Proverbs, there's recurring themes. And so that's what we've been talking about mostly in the series is in the range of chapters that we had. There's reoccurring themes that Pastor Dale and I addressed. There's the reoccurring theme of the general value of wisdom, the reoccurring theme of what we do with our sexuality, the reoccurring theme of how we speak and how our speech and what it matters, the reoccurring theme of relationships and reconciliation. Well, this isn't a reoccurring theme. It's literally a repetition, word for word, of the same verse in a range of chapters. So I don't know about you, but when I read that this week, I thought, well, if it's in there twice identically, I should probably talk about it because it means it's important. It's important. Do you agree? Agreed. Okay, so we're going to talk about Proverbs 22:3 and 27:12 today. It's not a typo. So here's what I want to talk to everybody about. I want to talk to you guys about red flags. So the title of today's message is Red Flag Reactions. Red flag reactions. Red flags, what do I mean by that? Well, red flags universally always symbolize danger. They're always a warning sign, and no matter what area they're concerned with, it's almost always danger. So sometimes there are literal red flags. Any NASCAR fans in the room? Woo, all right, very good. A couple of you, good. So I'm not necessarily a racing fan. I'm more of a dignified person with my professional wrestling. But apparently in NASCAR, there's red flags. There's a red flag warning where it's too dangerous to race, and so everyone has to stop. In weather, there's red flags. What's the color of the hurricane flags? They're red. It's a red flag. So sometimes we literally have red flags to symbolize danger, and other times we have figurative red flags to symbolize danger. And so one of the ways that people use this phrase, man, did you see those red flags everywhere, is usually in like first date situations. Anybody here gone on a bad first date and saw some red flags? Yeah, a couple of hands coming up. Well, what if I told you the story of my worst first date I ever went on? And what if I told you that it wasn't necessarily the person who I was on a date with that was a red flag, but what if it was my own stuff? So, all right, this is going to be a little embarrassing. Will you guys love me anyway? Okay, so I went on a pseudo date with a girl when I was in college. And we went, and we were in Tallahassee at the time. There's this lake in Tallahassee called Lake Ella. It's just this beautiful place. If you go to Florida State and you're going to have a serious conversation with somebody who you're dating or potentially could date, you go to Lake Ella and you walk around the lake. So I took this girl and we started walking around the lake together and talking. And very quickly into the conversation, I realized I was so nervous. I was making it super awkward. And so it really was walking around the lake. It almost felt like in the conversation I had two left feet. You know, like, oh no, this isn't going good, this isn't going good, this isn't going good. And so I suggested we go get something to eat. And me and my genius self, I panicked. I thought, where should we get some food? There's a McDonald's. Do you want to go there and eat? I'm not 15, I was 22 at the time. Nice first date, take a girl to McDonald's. So not only do I take her to this McDonald's, we're in line when I'm ordering a Big Mac, and I kid you not, I realized I left my wallet at home. Oh. And so, long story short, it's pretty quick to realize that, oh no, I'm the red flag. Oh no. Thank goodness I got my stuff together by the time I met Leah. How you doing, baby? Yeah. Yeah, so we have red flags, not just literally, but we have them in circumstances and in situations and more than just in dating and all sorts of spheres of life. So today, this applies to every single person in the room today. Today is a family Sunday at Community of Hope, so we have lots of kids here. Any kids in here from Kids of Hope? Will you guys wave at me? Woo! Hey, guys. Woo! Hey, so this applies to you guys too. This isn't just a grown-up talk. This is for everybody in every sphere of life. This applies to if you're a student. This applies to your school. This applies to your friends. This applies to your future. If you're married, this applies to your marriage. This applies to your career. This applies to your finances. This applies to your physical health. This applies to your soul. It applies to everybody here in the room today. So listen up. We're talking about red flag reactions. Now, let's turn our attention back to Proverbs. Can you put the verses back on the screen, please? Proverbs 22:3 and 27:12. Right, let's read it one more time. The prudent see danger, take refuge. Oh, you don't have to read it with me. That's nice. I feel supported. Thank you. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. In Proverbs, the main device that's used to prove its point is what's called contrast. So if you're taking your notes, write down that word, contrast. And what Proverbs will do is it'll show two things and show how they're different to make a point. And that's what's happening again here in this verse. There's the prudent and the simple. The prudent and the simple. Now, these are a little bit of confusing terms because Proverbs means them differently than how we talk about them a lot today. Proverbs means prudent in a positive sense and simple in a negative sense. I remember growing up thinking about the word prudent. It sounds lame, sounds a little milquetoast. I remember going on trips in middle school and with either my youth group or with my school or with my family, and you would go to those, the gift shops at gas stations, and there'd be the carousel of names of what your name means. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, and so I'll be flipping through, and occasionally you'd find Trevor. Trevor's not a very common name. And so I'd be really excited when I did, but as I'm flipping through looking for names and what it might mean, I see names, oh, your name means artist. Wow, your name means leader. Wow, your name means warrior. Wow, your name means scholar. Wow, and what does Trevor mean? I'll go and pick Trevor out from the T's at the bottom reading, and Trevor means prudent. Oh, it's literally what the name means. And so everyone else would have all these cool things, and I'll be there in middle school going, great, prudent, lame. And so we necessarily don't think, you know what I want to be one day? Prudent. Nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that. And at the same time, when we think about simple, we think, oh, it's good to simplify. Shoot, we did a sermon series called Simplify a couple years ago. It's good to be simple in life, to simplify your life with your material possessions, to simplify your finance, to simplify your schedule. Simplicity is a good thing in our world, but Proverbs means it in a negative sense. Why is that? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to change out these terms to help you better understand what Proverbs is getting at. So when you see prudent and simple across this morning, here's what I want you to think. Prudent means wise, okay? And simple means naive. So go ahead and switch it on the screen. You see that? Prudent is wise, simple is naive. Now in Proverbs, many times the scale it's working with is not what you think with most of the Bible. So if you're new to the Bible, most people think that the Bible is a list of rules about what is good and about what is evil. Some of the Bible is that. Other parts of the Bible is narrative, and other parts of the Bible is story, and talks about the life of Jesus and his followers and the life of the Israelites. Some of it is law, like I said, good and evil. And some of it in Proverbs, it's not necessarily the difference between good and evil. It's the difference between wise and foolish. It's not necessarily evil to be naive. It's not evil to be simple in this sense, but it's foolish. It's not good for you. It's better for you to live as a wise person than a naive person. So how is it that somebody's different with wise and naive? It's mainly this. It's the difference between how you think about today and tomorrow. So real quick, the wise person, the prudent person, sees that today, and we're going to pretend out there, is tomorrow. The prudent person and the wise person sees that today and tomorrow are connected. That today's choices affect tomorrow's experiences. Today's choices affect tomorrow's experiences. They lived a connected life. They make that understanding, that connection. A naive person, a simple person, how Proverbs is talking about, sees today and tomorrow disconnected. Today is today, and tomorrow, well, that's tomorrow. But the prudent person sees tomorrow, no, that's today. Life is disconnected. Today and tomorrow. I want to tell you a story to help illustrate this. How many of you know who this guy is here on the screen? All the men, Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield is one of the greatest boxers who has ever lived. Now, unfortunately, Evander Holyfield will always go down as the guy who got bit in the ear by Mike Tyson. Everybody remember that? Wasn't that nuts? Go Google it if you're young and you weren't born then. But it's a shame that, man, if he's always remembered as the guy who got bit by Mike Tyson, I would just always want to punch somebody in the face after that. Evander Holyfield is a 4-time world champion. He's one of the greatest boxers ever because he won the world title at the cruiserweight division, the light heavyweight division, the heavyweight division. His nickname is called the Real Deal, Evander Holyfield. And he had a great, great career. Now, he tells this story about his interaction with his first trainer when he began boxing as a young man. And his trainer looked at him and said, Evander, do you want to be a great boxer? And Evander thought about it. And he said, yeah, I do. I want to be great. And his trainer said, wonderful, I'm glad. Now let me ask you this. Is that a dream or is it a goal? I don't understand what you mean. And his trainer told him, the difference is your dream, if it's out there tomorrow, it's just a wish. It's just a wish. But if it's a goal, you're going to start making decisions today that will help you achieve your goal. You see that? Is it a dream or is it a goal? If it's a dream, tomorrow's going to be tomorrow. If it's a goal, you connect today's choices with tomorrow's experiences. So let me ask all of you here. Do you want to live debt-free? Yeah, that's good. Now, you might not want to be a world heavyweight champion boxer. If you do, good for you. I don't want to fight you. But do you want to live debt-free? Do you want to have a healthy marriage? Students, do you want to go to college? Do you want to Do you want to have a successful life? Parents, do you want to raise healthy children? Do you want to be physically healthy? And everybody here in this room, do you want to be a fully devoted follower of Jesus and grow spiritually? Do you want that? Is that a dream or a goal? Dream or a goal? Wise and naive, prudent, simple. Is it a goal or is it just a dream? That's the difference. It's connecting today's choices with tomorrow's experiences. Now, back to our verse for today. So we're talking about the wise and the naive, but one of the main differences of how they live out this understanding of how today and tomorrow are connected is potentially with red flags and how you react to the red flags that you see. So let's read it one more time. You don't have to read it with me. The prudent see danger, take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. If you're underlining or taking notes, why don't you underline see danger and take refuge, and then underline keep going and pay the penalty. What's the difference? The difference is what you do with red flags. So let's say you have your goal. It's not just a dream. It's the life that you want to live. You want to live with healthy finances. You want to have a great marriage. You want your kids to be healthy and successful. You want to live a long life. You want your soul to be healthy. You want to be a strong follower of Jesus. You want to be growing in your holiness and righteousness. Great. What you're going to see is you look down the road into your future, you're going to start to see red flags. And what red flags are threats to your preferred future. Red flags are threats to your goal. Red flags are threats to the life that you envision yourself living. And the difference between the prudent and the simple is what they do and how they react to those red flags. This situation here is where we get the phrase, man, I should have seen that one coming. Wow. Because this is about seeing danger afar, and not necessarily what's immediately on your doorstep today. How many of us wish we could have done a do-over in life? In some situations, yes, lots of nods. Holy cow, yeah. Lots of us have said in life and in different situations, man, I should have seen that one coming. Man, I wish I get a mulligan out of that. Goodness. Now, all of us here, I want you to think about those things that you have a little bit of regret over, maybe a lot of bit of regret over. Think about them. 9 out of 10 times if somebody asked you, man, didn't you see any warning signs? Didn't you see any red flags? If you reflect back on it, don't you think, yeah, gosh, I really did. I had some hesitation, but I ignored it. I had some hesitation, but I didn't do anything about it. Yeah, I had some warning signs. Ooh. And what does Proverbs say that happens at the end? There's a price to be paid, and they pay a penalty. And some of us, we have some regret in our lives where the price that we pay might have been small. And some of us, the price that we paid was huge for some red flags we didn't react to, right? Yeah? Now, before we go on, I want to take a minute and tell you the message of the God of the Bible. The promise of the Father of Jesus is this, that the God of Christianity is the God who takes human failure and human shame and can redeem it and make it beautiful again. So any mistakes, any regrets, any pain that you have in your past for things that you didn't react to, for things that you didn't respond to, Jesus can make beauty from ashes, and it doesn't always have to be a source of shame because he forgives sin and he heals shame. Somebody say amen to that. Amen to that. This is what Jesus does. So if you're here and you're a visitor today and you got some shame in your past for some things that you didn't see coming, that you should have seen coming, you didn't do anything about, come follow Jesus. He could change your experience, and he could change the way you view your past, and he can use it for good. That's the promise. That's the promise now. Even for those of us who are followers of Jesus, and we've experienced this redeeming grace that God has, if you asked us if we could have a do-over, we would still say, yeah. I'm very grateful for how God's brought redemption in my life. But if I could go back in time, I would do it differently. Just like how if the Florida Gators could go back in time, they would do it over again differently. Last night, the Seminoles of Florida State. Yes. Now, how many was it? How many third downs did the Gators convert last night? Was it this many? Was it this many? Oh, good. All right, now I'm going to have tomatoes thrown at me. I hope Dale's watching. Right. You know I had to. You know I had to go there. Okay, so let's dive into this just a little bit deeper before we close out this morning. So it's how you react to these red flags. It's what you do when you see a red flag in your future that's threatening your goals and your dreams for your life, that's threatening your preferred future. What do? The naive, they do nothing. They keep going and they suffer for it. Now, we're not a judgmental church here. All of us have had mess ups and screw ups in life. I don't know about you, but there's plenty of things where I go, yeah, I was totally naive there. So why is it that we do this? Like, have you thought about why do we ignore warning signs? Why do we ignore red flags? Well, here are three things I think of that are common reasons why we ignore red flags and keep going and pay the price. Now, this is going to get a little heavy and this is going to sting a little bit, but buckle in, hang in there with me, okay? All right, here's the first thing. Why do we keep going? It's because we think good intentions are enough. We think good intentions are enough. No one starts out in life thinking to themselves, you know what, one day I want to end up broke. You know, one day I want to die of a heart attack. No one thinks that. No one. No one starts out with a good intention of, you know what, one day I want to have a divorce. I want to go to jail. I want to flunk out of school. I want to shipwreck my faith with God. I want to lose friends, be disenfranchised from my family, lose everything. Nobody starts off with those intentions. Everyone starts with good dreams and good goals. But that's the problem. Good intentions aren't enough. They're not enough. It takes something more than that. It takes a discipline with the intentionality. Number two, we don't play the tape through. If you're part of our Celebrate Recovery ministry or any type of recovery group, you know this phrase, play the tape through to the end. Now, young people, kids, there are these things, how we used to watch movies back in the Stone Age days was these little rectangles called VCR tapes. And you would put them in to a thing called a VCR player and hit play, and you could watch the movie whenever you wanted. Now, because this is a widely used phrase, we're going to use it, but I'm going to update it a little bit to help you out. So all the young people in the room, instead of play the tape through to the end, you can just write in your notes, stream the whole episode, okay? All right. Now, why? Yeah, so why do we keep going? Because we don't stream the whole episode all the way through. What does that mean? We don't think about circumstances. The choices we see in life and the way that we're living our life now and the direction our life is headed in, and we see red flags, we only focus on today and we don't think about tomorrow at all. We don't think about our situations. We don't think about consequences. We don't think about cause and effect. We don't play the tape through in our minds of what happens if I keep going the way I'm going in this destructive dating relationship. What's going to happen not today, but 2 years, 3 years, 10 years from now? What's going to happen if I keep spending the way I am today, 5 years from now? If I have the study habits I have today, what's that going to mean for the career I'm going to have? If I keep treating my kids the way I'm treating them today, what relationship I'm going to have with them? If I keep putting off God and seeking Him, what's my soul going to be like in a couple years? We don't stream the whole episode. And number three, we live in denial. We live in denial. In recovery ministry, denial, they use it as an acronym for don't even know I am lying. Don't even know I am lying. No starts with a K, but roll with it. Here's what I mean by that. We have an incredible capacity to lie to ourselves. I remember being at a conference when I was a young man, and I heard this elderly pastor talking about how it was one of the greatest achievements of his whole life that he never had a moral failing. Because everybody here in this room has seen in the news, God bless them, about pastors who have affairs, moral failings, and churches that fall apart because of that. All of us have heard it and seen it on the news. It's so horribly sad, isn't it? It's terribly sad. And he said that he had never done that, but he had noticed all these other people and all these other peers that he had who had fallen into that, and he noticed that there's one commonality between all of them. Do you want to know what it is? All of them thought it would never happen to them. It's not just true for pastors, it's true for you. You see red flags and you keep going in your life because you think that the disaster will never happen to you. And so what he said his strategy was, instead of thinking it'll never happen to me, he actively made the choice that it will happen to me unless I do something about it. Some of you should write that down. And so friends, as a loving pastor, I'm here to tell you today, out of love to warn you, you are capable of anything given the right set of circumstances. You are capable of anything. It will happen to you unless you react to some red flags in your life. So that's the naive person. Let's shift. We don't want to be naive. We don't want to be simple. We don't want to be foolish. We want to be wise people, prudent people. So what does the prudent person do? The prudent person, they see danger and they take refuge. Underline those. See danger and take refuge. Let's look at that first part. They see danger. The prudent person, the wise person, they have developed the skill to see red flags. They've developed the skill of seeing red flags down the road into their tomorrow. Now, most people think it's just enough to have common sense to see red flags. Well, you should have seen that coming. I don't know about you guys, but common sense isn't that common. And so this is one of the benefits of being a Christ follower. You have a divine guide who begins to point out the red flags to you. So if you're contemplating becoming a follower of Jesus, here's another reason why you should. You'll have divine help. One of the primary ways that Jesus does this is through the way we teach reading the Bible here at our church. It's where you just don't read it for information, but you apply it to your lives. It's through Bible reading and application. And so what we do here at our church, we teach people to open up the Bible. We have lots of different groups that teach people how to do this. We call it journaling. And what you do is you'll read through it. And as you read the Bible more and more, now I'm not talking you have to have huge study sessions every day. I'm talking 15 minutes a day. Do you have time for that? It's half an episode of TV. You could do that. Everybody here can do that. You open up the Bible, and as soon as you start reading it, you'll find out that the Bible starts reading your life. And as you read it, the Bible starts pointing out red flags to you in your relationships, how you spend your money, how you're planning for your future, red flags in how you talk, red flags in some areas where you need some reconciliation, red flags in your sexuality. Start seeing things in your life. And when you start to do that and you respond to them, you'll be able to see things from afar and save yourself from a lot of pain and a lot of regret. Can I read to you one red flag that the Holy Spirit showed me this week that has nothing to do with this sermon, but just how he called me out, just so you know that I'm a human being and that I'm not perfect? Can't believe you guys aren't more excited about that. Are you saying you already know I'm not perfect? Gosh, okay. All right, so listen to this. This is Proverbs 23, 13 through 14. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish them with the rod, they will not die. Punish them with the rod and save them from death. Everybody look right here. Don't go home and beat your kids, okay? Kids of Hope kids, don't worry, I'm on your side, okay? This isn't license to go beat your children, even though I grew up in a house where my dad used to say to me, I brought you in this world and I'll take you out. This is about just disciplining your kids. And so I was reading the Bible. I thought, oh, that's interesting, because that verse there, it's talking about that when parents think they're saving their kids by not disciplining them, they're actually endangering them down the road. But if I'm willing to do the hard thing and discipline my kids today, I'm actually saving them from a negative future. Oh. And then I went to go apply it to my life. Holy Spirit, how do you want to apply this to my life? You know what God said to me? I'm still mad about it. He said, Trevor, you're soft on your kids. Your wife does it right. You're soft on your kids. I'm like, listen, God, I'm the preacher. I'm supposed to tell other people what to do. Don't tell me what to do. Can you imagine if I don't heed that warning, what's going to happen to my children? Red flag. Red flag. So if you want to learn how to do this, go to our website, communityofhope.church/soap. communityofhope.church/soap. I really commend that to you. I really commend that to you. You'll learn to see red flags and you develop that skill. So they not only see danger, but they also take refuge. They've got to do something about it. It's not enough to see red flags, to think about them, to contemplate them, and to journal about them. You've got to do something about it. This is a picture of my brother Graham. Handsome family, huh? Look at that. That's Graham, my sister-in-law Nina, his two girls, Braylon and Ashlyn. I want to tell you a story about my brother. Several years ago, my brother was a manager for Chili's. He was a young and up-and-coming manager, very successful in life. And Chili's takes great care of its people. They compensate them very, very well. In fact, Graham met Nina at Chili's when he was working there. He did what our family calls fishing off the company pier. I hope you saw that. And so over the years, shortly after Graham and Nina got married, his relationship with Jesus began to grow and his friendship with Jesus began to deepen. And he called me one day and he said, hey, I want to talk to you about some things. I've been thinking a lot lately. I've been reading my Bible more. I've been going to church more lately. And gosh, I'm just thinking about my job. Because I'm noticing all the people who are ahead of me, who are general managers and district managers, almost all of them are divorced or have terrible marriages. And I read a statistic, Trev, that told me that 80% of restaurant managers end up in divorce. If you're a restaurant manager, that doesn't have to be you. I'm just telling a story, okay? 80% end up in divorce. Red flag. And he said, Trev, I've also been thinking, I don't have any kids now. I mean, Braylon and Ashley weren't in the picture. But he thought, gosh, I really want to be a little league coach one day. I want that more than anything, and I know I will never get to coach my kids' little league teams if I keep having this job. And not only that, the more I read the Bible, the more I see that God is supposed to be the top priority of my life, and then my wife and my children, and then my work. And I could tell you without any reservation that today, my work is number one, and my family and God flip-flop between 2 and 3, depending on the week. Seeing things. And you know what this guy did? He had tremendous courage. He prayed a lot, sought wise counsel a lot, and did a very risky thing. He quit his job when Nina was pregnant with Braylon. And he started a landscaping business in Tampa Bay. Now, it was really hard. If you've ever started your business, there's a ton of sacrifice involved with it. But today, several years later, my brother is a leader in his church. That church is blowing up in the Tampa Bay area. And he's a godly man who's leading other young men and young husbands to become followers of Jesus. God's number one in his life. His marriage is healthy. He's there for his girls. They don't do Little League. They go to ballet stuff, but he goes to that anyway. But you get the point. Good for him. But I'm terrified to think of what he would be like today if he hadn't reacted to those red flags he saw in his life. Everything is on the line with what you do with red flags. Everything is on the line between what you hope for, what you dream for, and what you want from your life, and what you feel like God's calling you to in your life. Respond to your red flags or else. In closing, here's a quote from Pastor Andy Stanley. I want you to listen to this with an open heart. If there's going to be change, you must take refuge. You've got to do something. Seeing it, feeling it, agreeing with it is not enough. You're going to need to make a phone call. You're going to have an awkward but honest conversation with a friend. You're going to need to cut up some credit cards. You're going to need to change your phone number. You're going to need to break up. You're going to need to move out. You're going to need to find a new circle of friends. You need to cut back on your traveling. Set the alarm clock on Sunday morning. Empty the liquor cabinet. Join a 12-step group. Take your family on vacation. Make an appointment with a counselor. You might have to sell your house, cancel your internet service, change jobs, sell your TV, maybe all of the above. And maybe that sounds extreme to you. And maybe it is. But for anybody who you talk to has experienced a tremendous amount of regret and pain in their life, they wish with all that they had, they could travel back in time and do it differently. Don't live with regret. React to red flags. Do something. So what we're going to do now is the band is here. I invite you now, we're going to have a moment of prayer. We're going to ask God these 2 questions we're going to put on the screen. So here's the first one. God, what red flags am I currently ignoring? I invite you now to bow your heads. Ask the Lord in the silence of your own heart, God, what red flags am I currently ignoring? And then the second question is, God, what is the right response to what I see? And the band's going to play, and this is just a time of prayer, not necessarily corporate singing. Ask God those questions and search your hearts. Let's pray.